Senator, you are presenting on item 16, SB 677.
Yes.
Thank you. So it is my understanding that you are not accepting the chair's amendments, correct?
Well, we're doing other amendments to kind of help.
You are not accepting.
No, you're not the specific chair's amendment to delete the second week of sales. That was your amendment, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, we cannot accept that at this time.
Okay.
We're working with the coalition to kind of help all that.
All right.
help
I'm
the
just
process.
wanting to make sure that it was noted that you're not accepting the chair's amendments, right?
I can't, yeah.
Okay. All right. You can continue.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Chair, members, I'm here to present SB 677. I would like to thank the staff, your staff, for working with us on trying to fine-tune some of the amendments that I think would improve SB 677. In addition to accepting the amendment that was proposed by Governance and Finance Committee, we also have added some mock-up language, some amendments to be used in purposes pursuant to Section 8C of the California Constitution, where we are looking to define a mechanism by which a second week of sales of fireworks can be responsibly implemented instead of just implemented outright. They're passing them out right now.
Okay. No, Senator, we don't take up mock amendments at the committee hearing. We don't know what they are. We have not reviewed. We don't take up mock amendments. We don't have amendments, and you can't pass out amendments at the desk. We don't have amendments. We've never seen amendments.
We shared them before? They were shared by the committee staff to all the committee members, but it's okay. We could look at the next for the next committee if possible.
These amendments will not be considered.
Okay.
All right. All right. So you can continue.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to again clarify, these amendments that we're proposing are that will not be looked at this committee.
Were these amendments discussed at the previous committee?
Yes. The amendment number 1, where you talk about amendment number 1 on page 10. These are amendments that were agreed to in the Governance and Finance Committee, and that would help with the opposition from, we believe, from Caltex.
Yeah, we've not seen these amendments,
Yes,
and
these
you're just
amendments
now.
are the ones that were agreed to by the committee.
Yeah, but you've seen it as well. We've not seen these amendments, and our office has been in contact with your office regularly on trying to come to a medium as to this particular piece of legislation. The authors, your office, have declined to accept the chair's amendments on this. These amendments that you're passing out now, neither side, the Republican side of the House and the Democratic side of the House, have not seen these in this committee. I'm talking to the consultant right now. They too have not seen these amendments. So perhaps maybe your staff neglected to send these over. I don't know, but we will not be considering these amendments today.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, that's understood. And like I said, we're passing them out, but we're going to probably, if the bill gets out.
It's probably your staff. They probably didn't get it to us. It's okay.
I believe they just handed them out to some of the other staffers, but didn't get to the members. I apologize for that. A top priority is to ensure that the fireworks management and disposal system implemented by this bill is executed in a responsible and effective way. SB 677 represents a comprehensive solution to a problem of seized fireworks and their disposal. It includes the input of local and statewide authorities and the industry. There are additional responsibilities that the interested parties will have to undertake pursuant to the bill to make it work. A piecemeal approach will not suffice. In addition, the bill represents a solution to a problem that cannot wait. We cannot keep our communities in harm's way by allowing the storage of hundreds of thousands of pounds in warehouses and fire stations throughout our communities. We have outlined a trigger mechanism in these amendments that hopefully would kind of solve the concerns of the chair. It's a 3-step trigger process that will extend out the implementation of the second week of sales till 2020 almost, to make sure that the removal of these seized fireworks are properly disposed of. Just as the authorization to sell fireworks for this week of 4th of July, the second week of sale remains under local control and must have a local local resolution passed by the local government to adopt the second week. SB 677 is a result of stakeholder input that has taken place over a period of years. A similar bill, SB 777 in 2013, just a couple years ago, was passed unanimously by this committee. It contained many of the same provisions, including data collection, better tracking of the transportation of dangerous fireworks, and a buyback program, and it also included the authority for a second week of sales. One difference that our bill provides in its current form, at least 1 year delay for the authorization of the second week of sales. I've offered those amendments that we talked about earlier to make a contingent about the efficacy of the removal program. I expect further revisions and fine tuning and hope that that today we can move the bill forward with my commitment that we will continue to work with all the stakeholders as we have been doing to provide the best possible legislation. SB 677 solves the illegal fireworks crisis in California by allowing local governments to recover the costs associated with the seizure and disposal of illegal fireworks. Fireworks are seized by many different agencies, local, state, public safety agencies, such as the California Highway Patrol and local police and fire and state fire marshal are all faced with the problems with seizure of illegal fireworks. The combined local and state jurisdiction estimates total of seized fireworks have reached upwards to 700,000 pounds. The environmental regulations in California restrict the burning of these seized fireworks, so fireworks are shipped out of state for burning at an average of about $10 a pound. Annually, disposing these fireworks is upwards to $7 million. It's a big problem. In January of this year, the Office of the State Marshal announced that it will no longer pick up seized fireworks from local jurisdictions because they have run out of money and resources to tackle this problem. There are currently 80,000 pounds of fireworks with no budget to dispose of them at the Fire Marshal's office. In order to help pay for the problem of disposing the seized fireworks, SB 677 authorizes the Office of the State Fire Marshal or a local authority to sell the seized, safe and sane, and federally approved fireworks to a licensed importer or exporter. To facilitate the sale and transfer, SB 677 requires that the Fire Marshal and the DTSC train local fire and law enforcement personnel to recognize and handle these seized fireworks. Just to add to the problem, some of the legal fireworks that might be legal in other states and not in California are being shipped out of our ports, but they actually end up staying in our state versus leaving our state or leaving to the other states where they're supposed to be going to. SB 677 mitigates this problem by requiring the Office of the State Marshal to design a method to track and import the importation of dangerous fireworks into California ports in order to prevent the shipment of illegal fireworks staying here in California. SB 677, a work in progress. I appreciate your willingness and potential support to allow us to continue to work on this bill as it moves forward through the process and become hopefully a legislation that will work for everybody. With that, I would like to ask Dennis Bravo to speak on behalf of American Promotional Events, one of the supporters.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator, for your testimony. Yes, thank you for being here. You may begin.
Good morning, Chairman Hall, members of the committee. My name is Dennis Ravel, appearing on behalf of our client, American Promotional Events, Inc., better known as TNT Fireworks. TNT Fireworks acts as the wholesale supplier for approximately 2,600 of the 3,200 nonprofit organizations who rely on the sale of state-approved fireworks as their primary fundraiser in California. A couple of points I would just like to accentuate or add to the Senator's comments. 95% of the fireworks that are seized by the State Fire Marshal's own admission are federally approved but not California approved fireworks. In large part due to the lack of enforcement at a state level, in 2014, local jurisdictions experienced an exponential growth in the amount of illegal fireworks that they seized. A normal year would have seen a maximum of around 150,000 pounds seized by all local jurisdictions in California. In 2014, that grew to somewhere between 600 to 700,000 pounds, of which close to 500,000 of that still sits in the local repositories of those jurisdictions, according to media reports around the country. That does not count anything that's been seized since July 4th, 2014, illegal fireworks are indeed a year-round problem, not just a seasonal problem at the 4th of July. One of the components that the Senator mentioned as to the tracking of containers coming out of the ports of Los Angeles, Oakland, and Long Beach, it has been long held by us that a significant problem is drop shipments of product that is bound supposedly for destinations outside of California, but indeed are being drop shipped in California. This year there were multiple large shipments that were seized in storages throughout Southern California, most notably in Monterey Park, 25 tons, in Gardena, 18 tons. Those were all drop shipments coming out of the port of Los Angeles or Long Beach. This bill presents a tracking mechanism paid for by the industry, which will either through RFID chips or GPS or both track those containers so as to make sure that that the containers indeed arrive at their destination outside the state of California where they're supposedly bound for. Last but not least, clearly SB 677 is a work in progress. There are many elements that I suspect that all the stakeholders still feel that there are refinements needed on. We would respectfully request that the committee have faith in the commitment that all the stakeholders from both local, state fire and law enforcement agencies, as well as the industry and the nonprofit groups and everyone else involved in this process have to solving this problem, and we would respectfully appreciate an aye vote.
Thank you for your testimony. Any other witnesses in support? Opposition, please come forward if there is any opposition in the audience. All right. You can come up, sir. Please come up. Thank you for being here.
You bet. Good morning, Chairman Hall, members of the committee. George Apple speaking on behalf of the California Fire Chiefs. As we testified before, we are in opposition to the bill as submitted. We are in opposition until amended. And as it sits today, we cannot allow for a second week of sales until we resolve the issue of the disposal. We cannot get rid of the stuff. The state cannot come get it from us. We continue to try to collect it. Many of us are currently storing it illegally because of it being a hazardous waste, and that side of it needs to be fixed before we can move forward.
All right. Any other witnesses in opposition? Please come forward. You can stay there, sir. All right. Senators, comments, questions, concerns? Yes, sir. Yes.
I suggest that you take the amendments for now just to keep the bill working. I think this is an area where there should be some legislative work. I believe this is a local problem. This is not a problem that requires the state's involvement because these are laws passed at the local level. And many times where locals say, state, stop passing, mandates to the local level. This is kind of the reverse, where a law passed at the local level requires a responsibility for the state fire marshal or state funding or state involvement in getting rid of these fireworks where in some part of the state they're legal, in other parts they're not. And if somebody purchases fireworks in the border of one community and another, and they cross over to another community unknowingly, and attempts to set off these fireworks, they can be seized. And you can imagine, and when I look at the map and I see the neighboring communities and how there are some that are legal in some parts and illegal in others. I mean, they're illegal in, for example, they're illegal just in this county alone. They're legal here, but if you go into a neighboring community, let's say Auburn, they're illegal, and that creates a problem where law enforcement are seizing tons and tons of this material that's being sold legally in our state, but that can be transported illegally into somewhere where it's illegal, and that community it has a responsibility now to get rid of this stuff. I can see where it can be a big problem,
There's a problem.
but I can also see where it's a problem brought on by a local ordinance,
Sure.
where that local jurisdiction needs to do something to, address an ordinance that they have that's creating a problem for them in particular. So I don't see where the state necessarily needs to get involved in this issue, other than either decide, are they legal or are they illegal? The state has already issued a requirement that there's a state requirement that only a certain amount of fireworks can be sold. I think as long as people are complying with that, I think that is within the state's area of influence to ensure that anything sold out of that is something that the state needs to get involved in disposing of. And how much, I mean, you mentioned 95% is you said federally legal, but not state legal?
Correct. According to the State Fire Marshal's own admissions during the Lowenthal Working Group and public records, 95% of the seized fireworks in California are illegal in California. They're federally approved, but cannot be sold here in California.
So that becomes
a very small portion are state-approved safe and sane fireworks.
So that becomes a state issue, right? When the state creates a schedule that and people are bringing them in probably from outside the state now, and they don't
Correct,
conform
as well
to
as
state.
drop shipments. Currently, under the current law, as the senator pointed out, it is the state fire marshal's mandatory duty to pick those products up, and they're not doing it.
And I think the bill should focus on that, on disposal, and finding the most practical way to dispose of those in particular. Because where the state does get involved and say, this does not conform, there should be a process. And I think you should keep this bill working, and if it's a work in progress, accept the amendments and move it forward in a way that addresses that issue in particular. But beyond that, I can see where different communities have different tolerances for fireworks, where it creates a financial problem for local government.
Thank you. Any other comments, concerns from the senators? Okay. Just for the record, I support the cleanup program. I think it's important. However, I do not support the expansion of cells. The cleanup program is one thing, as the chief said. The expansion of cells is another. I heard testimony earlier where there's approximately 700,000 pounds of debris, if you will, or unused fireworks that is just sitting there in dangerous warehouses. And if that is then the case, how can we justify extending the sales of fireworks to only double the amount of fireworks that will be held in storages unused? It seems more excessive, if you will. The concern that I have also with sales of fireworks during the New Year, on New Year's Eve, in Los Angeles, for instance. They shoot guns in Los Angeles on New Year's Eve to celebrate. I can't imagine having kids outside on New Year's Eve popping fireworks while people are also shooting guns to celebrate the New Year's at the same time, and have casualties and other things on our streets in Los Angeles. It does, the bottom line is that fireworks, the expansion of fireworks sales only further exacerbates the problem that we're trying to address right now with the 700 to 800 to 900 pounds of fireworks being held in storage units and warehouses across the state of California. And so my recommendation was earlier to accept the amendments, to take out the sales component, to just deal with the cleanup component and move the bill forward. You have indicated, and by the way, I appreciate the spirit in which you have presented the bill. and that you have worked with the committee. I thank you for trying to address a concern that has obviously causing some angst to the fire chiefs and to many folks in the community regarding this excessive fireworks that we cannot dispose of. But I am not going to be able to support this measure today, given the unwillingness to accept the amendments. I would not be willing to be joining with Senator Waso as well, and not being able to support the bill in this form. If it was just a cleanup bill, it'd be something different. But the expansion of cells, when we're trying to address already a cleanup situation, I won't be able to support the bill. You can close if you'd like.
Mr. Chair, just
Yes.
a clarification.
Yes.
You mentioned me in support of the bill?
No, not in support. In support of the cleanup component.
Okay.
Yeah, in cleanup component only, yes.
And I appreciate Mr.
One second, Senator, let me go to Senator McGuire.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And just to confirm, I think with the amendments that you had brought forward would be in support of the bill without.
That's correct.
Correct. I just want to clarify. Thank you so much.
And but I appreciate the comments and the concerns. As we know, this problem is bigger than we anticipated. Many of you probably didn't even know that such a huge problem existed in our cities and our communities throughout the state. It's something that needs to be worked on and obviously needs to be remedied quickly. I don't want to see this bill fail. I do think that there's a lot of communities out there, cities, the fire marshal and other departments that need the help and the support from the state to make sure that they start working on this problem. This is an issue that it has been worked on for many, many years. I don't want it to stop here. Mr. Chair, I'd like to take the author of the amendment, the chair's amendment to remove the second week of sales to allow us to continue to work on this bill, not only through this House and potentially the next House, and see if we're able to come to more compromises and more thought out, more thought out solutions into how we can make this bill workable for all the interested parties that are that are trying to make this problem go away. I know that sometimes without the second week of sales will create a disadvantage for some groups, but for now, we continue working on that without that, and maybe if it comes up with a better solution down the line, then we'll see if we can remedy it at that time. So.
Okay, we need to establish a quorum, but before we establish a quorum, let me be clear that the committee will reserve the right to see this bill again should language be inserted later that would suggest sales in this bill. There is no way I'm going to allow this bill to move forward with the sales component in it. The senators that will be voting on this bill today will be voting in good faith of this bill, understanding that the sales component is taken out. Any amendments thereafter that would try to insert the sales component back in would be taking the senators' support today for granted. So we would ask that, in the spirit in which we are supporting the bill moving forward, that spirit remains with you as well.
Thank you for the advice. We will be working through several committees, as you know, not only through this House, but the next House. Any mention of sales or so forth, we hope to bring it up before this committee again if it does come up.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, let's establish a quorum. Please call the roll.
Hall.
Hall, aye.
Hall present. Berryhill.
Present.
Berryhill present. Block. Here. Block present. Gaines. Galgiani. Hernandez. Hill. Waso. Here. Waso present. Lara. Here. Lara present. McGuire. McGuire present. Vidak.
Okay, quorum has been established. Senator Waso is moving the bill with the chair's amendments to remove the sales component from the bill. Senator Block.
Yes, I just want to make sure, because the author talked about this being advice. I mean, it is a clear requirement of this committee that no sales be added at any point during this bill's progress during this calendar year. That's understood? Okay, yeah, thank you.
Are we clear on that, Senator?
We are clear on that, but as we go through the different committees, they might have a better idea instead of, it might not be sales at all, it might be something else. So whatever amendments come in, but bring it back.
Let's do this, Senator. I'm not comfortable on that response. This is a very touchy issue, and I would like to just, I'm gonna lay off of this today. I'm just not comfortable with the lack of accountability in terms of as the bill moves through various committees. If I'm hearing you correctly, as you said, it can go through different committees and the language could be changed. It could be sales, no sales. It can just morph into other things. And I'm not really comfortable with that. So I'm going to lay off of the bill. Hopefully we can come back and later and deal with the bill. I am in support of the cleanup program. I'm not in support of the expansion of sales. I'm going to have to lay off the bill today. Madam Secretary, please call the roll. The chair is recommending a no vote.
Hall? No. Hall, no. Berryhill? No. Berryhill, no. Block? Gaines? Galgiani? Hernandez? Hill? Hueso? Hueso, aye. Lara? McGuire? Vidak?
Okay, that bill has one vote. We'll keep the roll open. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Roth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'm privileged to present Senate Bill 536 today. It's a bill to authorize the sale of some military department armories that are no longer suitable or safe for use by our National Guard troops. Per the chair's request, I accept an amendment to the bill to remove the Compton Armory from the list of armories up for sale. Senate Bill 536 authorizes the California Military Department in coordination with the Department of General Services to divest or sell 8, now 7, National Guard Armory properties. These are armory properties that are deemed no longer suitable for California National Guard soldiers. They've reached the end of their service life and are no longer, frankly, practical or safe for the National Guard soldiers to assemble and train in. The ongoing maintenance costs required by these armories deplete the Guard's limited maintenance budget. The department would like to sell the armories and deposit any net proceeds into the Armory Fund, and this is important, to be used for the future renovation and repair of operational National Guard armories. I know the committee and its members are aware that these armories are critical to the mission success of our National Guard troops. The Armory Fund was created to assist with the state's responsibility to ensure that the National Guard has adequate facilities. We have over 100 National Guard armories in the state of California. Many of these were built 50, 60, 70 years ago at a time when our National Guard force was largely male. Today, the force is much more diverse, and many of these armories lack necessary restroom and shower facilities for use by female soldiers. So, many of them obviously require some rehabilitation. The cost of rehabilitating an armory is about $2 million per armory. Now you can run the math at about over 100 armories at a time when federal funds and state funds are short. It will be decades and decades and decades before we can fully accomplish this necessary rehabilitation. So we need to start the process. Consolidating armories, divesting armories that are no longer suitable or safe will allow us to put money into the Armory Fund and allow us to begin this absolutely necessary and critical rehabilitation process. I have with me today Colonel Darren Bender. He's the Director of the Governmental Affairs Office for the California Military Department to answer any technical questions, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator, for bringing this much valued piece of legislation forward. This does enjoy a do-pass recommendation from the chair. Are there any concerns, questions for the senator? You're here to answer technical questions. Would you like to comment?
Yes, sir, thank you. I just would like to,
Pardon me?
I would just like to mention that this is an administration-sponsored bill, and I urge your aye vote, and I appreciate your help on this bill.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing this forward. Senator, thank you for bringing this forward. Is there a motion? The bill has been moved. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Motion is due pass and re-refer to appropriations. Hall.
All aye.
Hall, aye. Berryhill. Berryhill, aye. Block. Block, aye. Gaines. Galgiani. Hernandez. Hill. Waso. Laura. Laura, aye. McGuire. McGuire, aye. Vidak.
Okay, Senator, that bill has 5. We'll keep it open for the
Thank you,
absent members.
Mr. Chair. Members for
Thank
your
you,
patience.
Senator. Thank you.